up, guys? Welcome back to Spoiling Movies. My name is Chris, and I'm going to tell you all about a movie I just watched, and I'm going to, tell you most of the main things that happen in it. There will be spoilers. I'm going to give you more of a breakdown on my opinion of it at the end. This week's movie is Batman and Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero. And so, of course, I'm going to have to put on my Batman hat, my super-duper double reversible Batman hat. Before we get started with the spoilers, I'll do my pre-spoiler opinion. This was a fun movie. It's sort of a traditional, old school 90s animated Batman film, kind of like Mask of the Phantasm. And it's fine. I'm not going to knock it on, old school animation stuff. I like old hand-drawn animation, and it's not perfect, obviously. It's got a lot of flaws and stuff. Voices are good, music's good, everything's good. It's pretty fun movie if you like Batman cartoon. So on with the spoilers. It opens up in a really interesting, 3D CG Tim Burton. It's very similar type music to the original, the old Tim Burton movies. And then we go underwater, and there's polar bears under the water swimming around chasing after these little fishies. And it's interesting because the fishies and a lot of the environment are 3D, but the polar bears are hand-drawn. So we got some half-naked guy that's also swimming around in the Arctic with the polar bears, and it's no normal man's gonna survive that shit, so obviously this is Mr. Freeze. He grabs onto the polar bears, and he kind of rides with them, and he grabs a couple of fish out of the water, and he brings fish to this little boy. Mr. Freeze doesn't even need his suit when he's just hanging out naked in the Arctic. It's perfect for him. I'm gonna flip the hat occasionally throughout so we can get a nice variety, a nice hat variety. There's a bunch of researchers or Marines or something in a submarine, and they end up coming up underneath the Mr. Freeze's lair, where he has the tube with his wife in it. For those that don't know, his wife has a disease and she has to stay in this tube because it keeps her alive until they can find a cure or whatever. But the submarine coming out of the ice knocks the tube over and breaks it, and then Mr. Freeze and everybody gets trapped underneath some ice. Polar bears come, help dig him out, and then the next scene, some of the other researchers that had gone off come back and find a bunch of their friends, and they're all trapped in ice. And Mr. Freeze is he shows up and gets the rest of them. So then we're back in Gotham, and there is a jewelry heist taking place. The owner's trying to fight the guy off, but he's young and he's fast, and he gets the jewelry guy down and gets away with a bunch of jewelry. Thief guy has the jewels, him and his getaway driver are in the car, and Batman lands on the roof, and he covers up the windshield and all the windows with his big cape, and they go, and they crash into some shit. One guy goes running, and Robin shows up. I didn't think Robin was going to be in this. He shows up, and he grapples the guy's legs, pulls him over. Batman follows one of the guys into an alley, and he's like, I'm going to keep my eye on you, punk. And then they hear the cops coming, so they go, and they fucking zip out of there. There's a big old fancy party, as there usually is in Batman stuff, and Robin and Batman are hanging out there, and they're like, where's Barbara Gordon? And they're talking to Commissioner Gordon. Oh, she'll be here. She's just out doing stuff, whatever. And she's out beating up a bunch of dudes as Batgirl. She's dressed up as Batgirl, and she's beating the shit out of dudes who were either trying to steal from some other girl or possibly rape her. They just kind of leave it ambiguous. We don't really know what was going on. But she beats the hell out of them, and then runs off and comes to join the party. At the party, we meet this guy, and he's got money troubles, and some guys are gonna come after him if he doesn't pay up, and he's like, whatever. He leaves, and on his drive home, the road, he crashes because the road's all frozen for some reason. Why is it frozen? And Mr. Freeze comes to him, and he's kidnaps him. He's like, you're gonna help me fix my wife because her tube broke, and she doesn't have long to live. Apparently Robin and Batgirl are dating in this version, which is interesting also. Batman finds the guy's crashed car, and he's looking for information. He's actually doing some detective work in this. Find out that the Mr. Freeze's wife has a rare blood type, and she needs an organ transplant. I keep calling him the guy because I don't know what he was. Apparently he's a surgeon or somebody who was able to help out Freeze in this situation. They're on the internet just realizing that there are such a rare blood type that there's only a few people in Gotham. There's nobody that's dead that is an organ donor that they could take from, but there are people that are alive with that blood type. And they find Barbara Gordon. She's in town. She's got that rare blood type, so they're like, let's go get her. I mean, we're going to have to kill her, basically, to take her living organ out. And the guy's like, I'm not going to be a part of this. And Freeze is like, here's a giant chunk of gold. What about now? And he's like, this is still kind of messed up. And he's like, I found a bunch of gold in the Arctic. Like, I'll give you all of the gold that I found. So he's like, I kill somebody for all the gold in the Arctic. Hat flip, back flip, bat flip. Meanwhile, there's some other big party going on that Robin took Barbara Gordon to. Freeze busts in with his polar bears, and they start attacking, and they're trying to get Batgirl, but Robin's there, and he's fighting, he's trying to keep him away, but there's the polar bears are there, and they never actually do it. But those polar bears would probably have killed a lot of people. The bears have Robin, and Batgirl's like, I'll go with you if you leave him alone. That's fine. So she goes with Freezy Pop. Robin finds a motorcycle, tries to chase Freeze down. Freeze is in this van thing, and there's another mix of the 2D and 3D animation, and sometimes it kind of works. It's a little weird looking, but it's kind of cool. It was a nice novelty kind of thing for back then. It wasn't perfected or anything. Cops are trying to chase also. One of the cop cars ends up running into a T-boned truck. The cop car kind of falls, it hits the truck and kind of like falls on there, but it makes like a little kind of ramp thing, so Robin is able to take his motorcycle, do a wheelie, and go fucking vroom, just jump over the truck. But of course, Mr. Freeze freezes the road, because he sees Robin's like right behind him in the mirror, freezes the road, motorcycle goes, and it like drives off a cliff. Luckily, Robin's able to hang on to a branch, and they get away. Guy and Mr. Freeze are trying to give Batgirl some pills, so that she'll be sedated and easier to take care of, and she knocks him out of the guy's hand, not gonna take him, and Freeze is like, but you gotta take them. So, like, immediately he's got another, like, handful of pills, like, to put in her face. And she knocks him out of his hand for a second time. I was like, are those the same pills? Did you both walk in with a handful of pills? I don't know, whatever. It's a little animation continuity thing, but I thought it was funny. Bruce discovers the whole blood type thing and why that's the reason that she got kidnapped. Barbara Gordon is able to escape into a vent before they can come back into her chamber and get her. And they find out that she's up in the vent, and so they start chasing her through the vent, and Freeze is shooting up in the vent, trying to freeze her out of there. She ends up finding herself in a room with the wife. The wife's laying in a bed. Batgirl's like, I see why you guys brought me here. This is Nora Freeze, and she's gonna die, and that's why you need me. They talk to her and try to reason with her and be like, I really need you to help with this. And she's like, I will help, but just not here. We gotta go somewhere. And they're like, we can't go anywhere. We're fucking criminals. So she keeps running, and bears are still chasing and shit. But she finds herself on the edge of a thing, and the ocean is there. And we realize that she's on like an oil barge thing. Bruce learns about Guy, finds where the guy lives, breaks into the guy's house. Obviously he's not there because he's on the oil barge thing. Turns out little Arctic boy is in the oil barge thing, and Mr. Freeze has been taking care of him. Apparently his parents died, and Mr. Freeze is taking care of him and giving him fish and stuff. I always thought it was neat that, Freeze isn't completely bad. Obviously, he's a killer and a murderer and a thief and kidnapper and bad. Okay, he's bad. But, he's helping the boy, giving him fish, and he's worried about his wife. Come on. Yeah, he murdered a lot of people. But you get a fish! Batman and Robin are able to record a conversation with the guy that was trying to get Guy's money. Whatever, the guy from the party that was talking to him about money. They record the conversation, so they figure out what's going on. They hear a little noise, and they go and they take the tape back to the Batcave. I also thought it was kind of funny. The Batcave has, tape cassettes, which, of course it would back in the 90s, I'm sure Batcave probably has, like, older technology, like, way older technology. Like, you gotta detect things from different eras. But they hear a ship in the background, and they hear a bell, and they're like, that's a bell, it's like a dinghy, like, bell or whatever. The only way the dinghy bell would be happening is if it was this part off the coast with the oil barge thingy. Then we get kind of an extended 3D Batplane experience. See them getting in the Batplane, all 3D, blasting off into the sky, flying to the oil barge thing. The Arctic boy tries to come and help Batgirl to escape. She gets free, breaks a bunch of shit, starts running again. So Batgirl's still being chased around the oil thing by the guy, and the guy is shooting his gun on an oil barge. And I'm like, what are you doing, guy? Robin jumps on the guy, and the guy tries to shoot him, but ends up hitting the oil drum thingy. Place starts lighting on fire. Fire's fucking starting everywhere. I could already tell this was gonna end in a big bunch of fire. Like, when I learned it was on an oil barge, like, that's what's gonna happen. That's just what happens on an oil barge. So Batman and Robin are trying to deal with the bears attacking them. At one point, bear's like right in Robin's face. Batman's got like a rope around his leg and he's holding it, and then another bear comes up from behind Batman, and while he's holding it, and Robin has to like shoot a grapple thing over at the other bear, and they manage to get away, and the bears like chase him to a ledge, and Batman and Robin are like, all right, now jump. They jump at the last moment, like Scooby-Doo style, and like the bears like, whoa, they fall down into the ocean, but they're fine. It's cold water. They're polar bears. They're all right. Batgirl climbs up pretty high, but she's still like above the flames, and they're coming toward her. Batman or Robin, one of them, shoot a grappling thing up to her, and she starts trying to like slide down it, but the fire breaks the rope and she starts falling. Batman and Robin get trapped in this little it's a room, but it's one of those rooms that controls the big crane things. So he freezes them in that room and they're trapped. Other guy pushes Mr. Freeze under some falling rubble and he tries to get away, but Freeze is stuck under the rubble. Batman and Robin, of course, escape the room by using the crane thing to like swing back toward them and break the ice in the window and let him escape. Mr. Freeze's leg is broken, so he can't move. Batman and Robin and him are trying to work together because, you know, like, they don't want to kill him. He doesn't necessarily want to kill them. He still wants to help his wife. This place is going to blow. He's like, you got to go help me save my wife. I can't really move. But he's like using his freeze gun to try and like keep away the fire. And at this point, they kind of left Mr. Freeze, and I was like, you really should have taken his freezy gun. That would have solved everything. I don't know how long that thing lasts and what it's using to like stay charged or whatever, but they could have just basically frozen the whole barge and everything would probably have been fine. I don't know why they didn't just take his gun and freeze the fire. Guy's on a boat trying to escape. Guy is crushed by the falling platform because Robin was taking off in the Batplane at that moment. So Robin basically murdered that guy. Batman and Batgirl manage to find wife and boy, and they're all trying to escape on an elevator, and the elevator kind of fucks up, but Freeze comes and saves them and helps the elevator get working again, gets them up there. Freeze says, Batman and Robin, just go get to the plane. You know, come back if you have time, but make sure my wife and the boy get to safety. And they just barely manage to jump onto the plane and get him on there. Batman goes back and tries to save Mr. Freeze, and he's hanging from a ledge, and he can't save him. He ends up falling down into the water, and then Batman runs back to where the Batplane is and barely grapples onto it, and then just kind of swings, you know, underneath it while they escape. Big explosion, whole place goes up, and then we see a hand come up out of the ocean, grab onto one of those polar bears. Polar bears keep swimming. Then we see some place, I guess, back in the Arctic, and there's a news report on TV, a couple guys watching the news, and Mr. Freeze shows up, sees through the window the report, and the report is saying that his wife has been, you know, taken care of by the Wayne family and their money, and she's doing okay. I thought that was really interesting. I guess I never knew a version of the story where she ended up just being okay. So, I mean, I guess he doesn't need to be a bad guy anymore if she's okay, right? What if she learns of all the evil things he did and like, just refuses to be with him after that? Mr. Freeze leaves with tears in his freezy eyes, and the bears go with him, and he's happy, and the wife's okay. And that's the end of the movie. It's barely an hour, a little over an hour long, just barely. I mean, it's good. I really loved the music, of course. It was beautiful. The voice acting was great. I think they got this, you know, all the same voice actors from the old animated show. The animation is cool. I don't know how they were able to animate on black. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but the old animated show was apparently animated all on top of black, and I have no idea how they were able to do that. We got to see a little bit of detective stuff, which was kind of nice. It's a breezy movie. It's got some tropes. I mean, I knew that place was going to go up in flames. You know, we knew it was going to end with a big fireball and them barely escaping and that kind of thing. But I liked the twist with his wife being okay at the end. I thought that was pretty cool. Also, by the way, this was given to me by Chakra Zoo, my good buddy Chakra Zoo. Now back to his old Chakra Zoo channel. I'll put the link in the description. You can check him out. That's the movie over there. That's the one he gave me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just kind of an easy breezy little review thing. And so anyway, I hope you guys had fun watching. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you're feeling, thinking, and if you like Batman or whatever, or if you like my hat, my flibbity jibbity hat. Tell me which side you like better. I'm curious about that. I have thoughts on which side I like best. I think I like the gray side better than this side. Anyway, peace out, guys.
The Iceman cometh. I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy.
The old T.M. Burton movies, and him and his getaway driver. Batman finds the crashed guy's crashed car, and he, you know, bunch of cold gold. I'll take all your cold gold. That's some cold hard gold. But the little semi thing that's been, it's fucking sideways. I guess it wasn't T-boned, but anyway, they're trying to, Bat Hat. Then we get kind of an, but they build a bear. Just kidding. Yeah, Freeze. Freeze just, and anyway, but also, by the way, but they're double-sided Bat Hat.